It's often hard to grasp the reality of each Holocaust victim's story, their life, family, hopes, and dreams. We take you to the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial in Jerusalem, where they tell you those stories. Take a look.
My dear Rosie, I am happy that you received our greetings. What are you up to, my darling? Be well. Many kisses from your mother.
In every letter at the beginning and at the end, she wrote, "Make sure to take care of your health."
That's the final letter Rosie Yoshkovitz received from her mother, Berta.
Each story is unique. In those online exhibitions, we're telling stories first to commemorate the victims, to give them back their names, human dignity.
Yona Kobo oversees the new exhibit, Last Letters from the Holocaust, 1943.
The letters were chosen because they are very intimate, very personal, very unique, because each handwriting is different from one person to the other. You can find stains of tears of those who wrote the letters and tears of those who received the letter.
When you read these letters from mothers, fathers, children, what does that do to your heart?
Sometimes it's tearing me apart. Sometimes I'm crying.
How were they delivered? Was there there was no postal service?
The post service worked the entire war, even in the camps.
Censorship?
Sometimes not. But I think they censored themselves.
Kobo gave us an extremely rare look at Yad Vashem's vast archives, where I saw some of the actual letters. What does this say?
That was written by a child. She was almost 12 years old. Her name was Regina Folkenflick, and she was living at East Poland. She was hidden at a Christian family. Her parents thought that was the best way to save her, by putting her in a good family. But the child was shot. The rest of the family survived. And her brother, now 84 years old, donated the letter to Yad Vashem. It's in Polish, and she's writing, "Dear mother and father, and dear Dolik," her brother, "be well. Mommy, don't be upset. Please forgive me, Mommy, for writing so little."
And here's another one.
That is another one, written by a young woman, 19 years old, Rosette Bomblat. She was active in a group of underground movement in Paris. She helped saving other Jewish children. Her family was hidden in a village not far away from Paris. And Rosette is writing here in French, "I'm only living for the day that we will be together again." All the family, except of Rosette and her oldest sister Sarah, survived and emigrated to Israel.
She didn't?
She didn't. She was transferred to Auschwitz. She was murdered in the camp.
What about your family?
My mother was born in Germany, and she has been through a ghetto, a labor camp, and a very, very long death march. She marched 800 kilometers by foot. My father survived Auschwitz, and they met after the war was over. And when I was older, like 35 years old, my father remembered to tell me his secret. He was a widow when he met my mom. He lost his first wife and baby daughter in Belzitz. I just recently found the name of his daughter.
This online exhibit is just one of many at Yad Vashem, the main collection of Holocaust documentation in the world.
So one of the main missions of Yad Vashem is to collect into one place all the documents, all the evidence about the fate of Jews during the Holocaust. It was the first intention of Holocaust survivors the first day after the war was ended.
Dr. Chaim Gertner is director of the archives.
We understood that the Nazis not only planned to murder the Jews, but also understood or wanted to annihilate, to erase our ability to know who were they and what happened to them.
Erase their memory.
So this is why Yad Vashem decided as one of its most important missions to collect all those pieces of huge puzzle of our joint history into one place.
The more than 200 million pages of documentation includes testimony, survivors' stories, photos, and other personal items.
We launched 7 years ago a national campaign. We call it Gathering the Fragments. We met until now close to 11,000 people who donated to us during the last 7 years more than 124,000 items and collections.
And are there many survivors living today that have seen this, been here, and experienced this?
Yes, Holocaust survivors do see Yad Vashem as the home of their items, and they say here it will be kept forever. He will preserve it. And I may tell you the story, for example, of this sweater over here.
Yes.
That was donated to us on the first day of this campaign, 7 years ago, by a lady from Tel Aviv. It was belonged to her sister. So for her, it took a lot of time to decide to separate with that.
The name Yad Vashem comes from the Bible. It means a memorial and a name.
Yad Vashem, during the last 2 decades and more, is struggling to tell the story of individuals in the Holocaust. They were human beings that used to live in Europe and elsewhere, and they had lives, they had kids, they had dreams, and it tells us also something about their ability to survive during those years in those inability times.
How important is it to have all this online?
Around 1 million visitors are coming to Yad Vashem every year. Almost 10,000 of them are visiting our reading room every year. But last year, more than 19 million people all over the world, Jews and non-Jews, used our databases online.
Because you're around this and have explored this and researched it, do you become jaded at all? I mean, it has to affect your heart.
I am a son of a Holocaust survivor myself.
I was going to ask you that.
I think that as an educator, our mission here to educate the next generation is what gives us the strength to think ahead, what to do with that story for generations to come.
Scott Ross for CBN at Yad Vashem in Jerusalem.
Tomorrow we take you to the heart of the Christian faith, the Mount of Olives.